Hello, we are making pasta. It's quite a garden variety for pasta, right? Yeah. Well, you know me, I like to put veg in everything. So putting that aside, we're going to make a meat vegetable sauce. So for this recipe, you're going to need 2 jars of a puree. I prefer San Marzano or Emma or Davila. Can't find those, use what you like, but I like the puree. We're going to season it ourselves. That's what I like about it. If I had ground chicken or turkey, that would be bomb diggity in this recipe. Instead, I've got about a pound of ground beef, so we're going to use a pound of ground beef. And for veggies, I've got 1.5 cups of spinach that I roughly chopped, 1 bell pepper that I've diced nice and small, 3 small cloves of garlic that I've minced, and 2 large carrots that I've chopped, and yes, a small container of mushrooms that I have very finely sliced. I also have 1 large shallot diced and in the pan with 1 teaspoon of olive oil. If you do not have a shallot, feel free to use half of an onion. I'm going to turn that on, add the beef, and then we'll go to the stovetop. Okay, so in my saucepan here, I've got the ground beef going with the shallots. I'm going to let this go for about another minute until I get a little bit of browning going through. And then I'm going to go ahead and add the garlic. Okay, so this is looking perfect. I just added in the garlic. 2 pieces of carrots snuck in. That's okay. And I just want to add in the garlic before I put in the water-soluble vegetables like the mushrooms and the spinach, because I want to get the garlic nice and fried here with everything. Turn this down to medium low instead of medium high. Now your sauce is going to go for about an hour to an hour and a half tops. This is a completely budget-friendly dish. I will break down the cost for you towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But I'm going to guesstimate you can feed 6 people for $12 or under. I like those types of meals. There's 4 in our family, but I always have lunches for at least 2 of them the next day. So this is looking great. We're going to let it go for another minute, and then we're going to go ahead and add in the spinach and the mushrooms. Alright, some of our carrots snuck in here too. Not a big deal. Now this looks like a lot. Keep in mind that these are all water, most of these vegetables here with the mushrooms and the spinach. That's why they're going in first before we put in the bell pepper and the carrots, okay? Because we want the water to reduce and kind of meld with the beef and the onions and the garlic. So we're going to let this go for about 2 to 3 minutes. I'm going to turn it up back to high, and I'm just going to kind of baby it for a little bit because I don't want my meat to get too brown, okay? So I'm going to be keeping an eye on it and stirring it. We're going to do that for the next 2 to 3 minutes until everything kind of shrinks down. Alright, now everything's kind of shrunk down, so at this point I'm going to add in, I'm going to make a mess is what I'm really doing. I'm going to add in the rest of the veg, and we're going to give that a really nice mix. Okay, so now that I've got everything kind of added in, I'm just going to turn it up on high, and I'm going to essentially get a little bit of a fry on the carrots and peppers. I'm going to do this for the next minute to 2 minutes. Again, I'm babying it because I don't want my meat to get overly brown, although brown food is good food. Just saying. Yeah, so we're going to let this go for a minute to 2 minutes, stirring it semi-frequently. Okay, that's been going for about a minute and a half. Now we're going to add our pureed sauce. Oh, 1 jar at a time. Y'all, this looks delicious. It smells divine, and I haven't even begun to season it. Who says eating healthy has to be boring and bland? Not this girl. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to turn that back down to medium low. I'm going to fill the jars here with some lukewarm water, 3/4 of the way full. Put the lid back on, give it a good shake because I want all this yummy goodness inside. Okay, so we've got our water in. We've shaken the jars well. Ooh, is it gonna let me? This is a new pot. I haven't used this pot for sauce before. Okay, we're gonna pour in slowly. If I can't get all the water in, that's okay. And this is going to reduce, right? The sauce is going to reduce, so I'll eventually get it all in, but let's see what I can do right now without making a ginormous mess. Are you gonna let me? Blessed. It let me. Okay, I'm gonna mix this, take the glass jars off my stove before the heat makes them shatter, and we'll be right back. Okay, now we're gonna season this. I'm gonna add 2 dry bay leaves. Now I've washed them, I've rinsed them, I've dried them before I package them away, so I know they're clean to go, but when you buy them in the grocery store, please give them a good rinse. And bay leaves are gonna help with digestion because of the acidity from the tomatoes and the sauce. Also on that path, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of granulated white sugar. It seems like a lot, I promise you it's not. Okay, so we're going to add in a good teaspoon of salt. I say teaspoon because we are going to add some Parmigiano Reggiano. If you don't have that, Romano is fine too. A good tablespoon of dried oregano. Okay, that was like that's like 2 tablespoons of dried oregano. That's perfect. And a really good teaspoon of black pepper. I'm a huge fan. Okay, so that was a good teaspoon of black pepper. Oh, COVID-19. Kids are home. Okay, and I'm going to say 3 to 4 teaspoons, or that looks closer to 5, of Parmigiano Reggiano. This is what I use. It's the closest thing right now, especially instead of having to go to an Italian bakery during this whole pandemic, okay? So I turned the heat back up because I want to get it to a bubble before I turn it right back down, okay? And this is going to go for about an hour. You are going to stir it, I'd say, every 5 to 10 minutes. You're just going to make sure everything is all incorporated here. I'm going to turn this right down once it starts to bubble, and then I'm going to try and suit up and brave going to a grocery store since I've used the last of my spinach here. We'll see if that actually happens. Okay, so we're going to turn it right down to low. Okay, and we're going to let it go for an hour. We'll see you then. Okay, so our sauce has thickened up very nicely. It tastes divine, absolutely delicious. Don't forget to taste your food, right? Because although I gave you the measurements for the spices for this, you may have a different palate. You may like it spicier, as would I. But feeding young people here too, right? So can't really add chili flakes. Although during the meat and garlic and onion process, I would have added a teaspoon of red chili flakes. That would have been bomb diggity. But little palates can't handle that. So in a pot here, I've added some salt because you want your water to taste of the ocean. And we're going to go ahead with a curly noodle today because I feel like the sauce is going to soak up really nice into all those little grooves. And then I've shredded a 1.5 cups of Saputo mozzarella. I am feeding a little person, and to disguise the vegetables, sometimes cheese helps. You can omit this step, totally cool beans, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. So once the water starts to rapidly boil, I'm going to throw in my noodles. Okay, so our pasta is about a minute done. If you're not adding the mozzarella cheese and you're a minute away from your noodles being done, they're al dente but could still go. There's a little bit of a bite and a chew to it. Drain it at this point. Reserve 2 tablespoons of the pasta water because that's where the starch is. You're going to mix in enough sauce until it's nice and saucy, and then you're just going to finish cooking for 30 seconds to a minute. Serve with some fresh Parmigiano Reggiano on top, or Romano if you have it. Bless, you're done. But we're going to shut this off now, and we're going to do the cheese process for you. So I'm gonna get this drained and then we'll be right back. Okay, so this is the dish that I'm going to be putting in the oven. It's actually another Curtis Stone pan, so I know it's oven safe. I've ladled about 3 ladles worth of sauce in here, and I've done about 2 sprinkles or teaspoons of Parmesan cheese. I've drained the pasta. I'm just going to put the pasta in and we'll show you what we're going to do. Alright, so the reason we put the sauce on the bottom is so that the noodles don't stick, and I'm sprinkling a tiny bit of cheese on top, okay? It's gonna get better, I promise you that. Okay, hold please. So now you're gonna come in with your ladles of sauce, and if you get a bay leaf, take it out because you don't want to be eating your bay leaf. Okay, so we're going to cover this entire dish here with sauce, and once I've done that, we'll come back. Totally need a tripod, man. This is getting brutal. Okay, hang on. Okay, so we've got it all covered. And now we're just going to do a light sprinkling here of some Parmigiano cheese. If you have, oh my god, I made a mess. It's all over my phone. If you have Romano, go ahead and use Romano. It's completely fine. Okay, so we've got that. And now we're going to add the rest of our Saputo mozzarella. You can use whatever mozzarella you like. I just really like the Saputo. I like the stringiness, I like the salt content to it. I like, especially on pizza, the way it's pulls apart and it's very stringy, and the way it melts, it's divine. So we're going to cover this and then we'll be back. Okay, so she's all covered. I'm going to go ahead and stick her in my my oven that's been set for broil for a few minutes now, so it should be all nice and warm. I'm going to let this go in there until it gets all golden brown, anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes, depending on the strength and the setting that you have it on. So this looks like a ton of sauce, and it is. Now, here's where my point is for families and or single people. When this cools, what I will do is I will put it into Tupperware containers, I will label it, I will date it, and I will throw it in the freezer. So especially for you single people, this could be several meals for you. This could be the base of a chili, this could be a pasta or vegetable dish, it could be an eggplant or chicken parm base, whatever you're feeling, blessed. We reuse everything. Nothing ever goes to waste. And I'm going to prove to you that this meal, I don't know if you can see it in here, but it is substantially under the amount of the money. So the beef, I break it down because I do buy it at Costco and then I separate it. So the beef I pay for this amount, $3.60. My sauce is $1 a jar at Costco, but you can get Davila or Emma on sale for $1. My spinach worked out to be about 40 cents, my shallot a dime, my garlic a dime, my carrots about 40 cents. My Parmesan, because I do buy the big bag at Walmart for $11.97, the amount I use is about 50 cents. My pasta I get on sale for $1, my mushrooms were $1.50, my pepper when it breaks down was $1. So if you're doing that without the mozzarella cheese, that's $10.80, and you will feed 6 people. The amount of Saputo cheese, because I do buy it at Costco, was about $3. So $13.80 if you want to be all fancy about it with the cheese, feeding 6 people. If you don't want to do the cheese, $10.80, throw in a loaf of garlic bread for $1, and you've got a meal for 6 people under $12. Okay, we are out of the oven and it is piping hot. Doesn't that look pretty? So you're gonna see me cut into it. Gonna get my little one's dish ready so I can throw his in the fridge and or freezer just to cool it down for him, because otherwise, yeah. See about the stringiness? Beautiful. Oh, so totally dropped a noodle and the poor pooch is gonna burn his face. Okay, so now that the toddlers is in the fridge and or freezer, I just wanted to mention that, okay, yeah, everything was 1080, and yes, you can feed 6 for this. Keep in mind, though, that there's a ton of extra sauce. So if you're a family of 4 or 6, that's a whole nother meal for you. So that 1080, divide that by 2, so that's 540 per meal. For the whole meal, that's 540. You may need another bag of pasta, so like 640, really and truly. And if you are a single person, that pot of sauce can probably get you, depending on how much sauce you're going to allocate for each meal, 8 to 12 meals for the sauce. So this is a really healthy, flavorful, low budget meal that's going to get you through a ton. I literally just put it in a Tupperware, and in the freezer it goes once it's cooled down. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, what's your favorite pasta? Deuces.